So I've had trouble with drinking since I was, well, I suppose you could say since I was 13 and I first tasted alcohol. I tasted it, I got drunk, it was the greatest feeling in my life, and I've been chasing that feeling since forever. My parents both are in recovery, 12-step traditional recovery. First letter of the alphabet twice. They got into that recovery around the time I was 16 years old, and admittedly, they did project a fair bit onto me because they saw my potential to be a problem drinker. They saw my potential to be an alcoholic. Hindsight being 20/20, they happened to be right, though it was never very useful for them to project that on me. When I was 19, I decided for the first time I was going to try to get sober myself. I made a poor choice, as many of us do while drinking, and I got drunk and cheated on my girlfriend of 5 years, my high school sweetheart. And she broke up with me, and that was a major consequence, and I tend to be someone who responds relatively well to consequence. So I went to 12-step and I was excited. I remember thinking I'm going to be, as soon as I heard some speakers in the speaker circuit and I got in the rooms, and I felt a pride and I felt an excitement, I felt dignity about being in a 12-step program, first letter of the alphabet twice. But I wound up relapsing when I turned 21. So I stayed sober a year and a half, and I'd say overall it went pretty well, but I definitely don't think I did it for the right reasons. There was a lot of foreboding. There was a lot of posturing. There was a lot of look at me, look at me, look at me. I remember thinking when I was 19, like, someday I'm going to be one of those speakers that everyone just adores listening to. You know, someday I'm going to be this champion of 12-step. My ego was very much wrapped up in my early experiences with AA, because I remember the way I looked at people at speaker meetings, and I kind of idolized them, and I wanted people to be impressed with me, and I wanted to be something special. I turned 21, I relapsed, and then eventually I came back, and I was able to recapture a lot of my initial excitement about being in 12-step programs. Got a sponsor, kind of did the deal. Can't say that I ever worked it all the way through. There were lapses in my way of thinking, and I eventually relapsed again. And then I got out, and then I came back and went back out, came back, went back out, and went to rehab at 25. Got out, relapsed. And every time I've ever gone into 12-step programs, I've attempted to the best of my ability, be honest and figure out what went wrong and where were my motives faulty. What can I do better? How can I make this stick? But at the same time, there was a growing skepticism that it would ever work for me. And so I would try to do a little bit more than the time before, listen a little bit harder, adhere to the principles and the suggestions that were being given to me by leadership and in the book and all of that. And I will say that I did do that. I definitely got better at complying, but there was always still some sort of reservation. And it's kind of hard even at this very moment. I'm 33. First time I tried to formally get sober was 19. First time I drank was 13. It's very hard to discern motives sometimes, or exactly where things went wrong. But as it pertains to this video, I wanted to talk about why I'm currently trying again, and I am utilizing 12-step program, first letter of the alphabet twice. I'm utilizing that again. I've had a really rough last 8 years in terms of mental health and substance abuse. I've also had a lot of ups and a lot of wonderful experiences. And I've been sober, I think, in those 8 years. I think I've put together 3, maybe 4 years sober. So one of the reasons I think it's relatively easy for me to go back is because it has worked. The only time I've ever been able to accumulate any meaningful amount of time sober has been working a 12-step program. But one of the other things I want to talk about here pertains to why I'm going back right this second. So in February, I checked into rehab again, second time going to rehab. And I got out and I relapsed a week later. We can talk about why, but I don't really think it matters for this video. I had my reasons. I always seem to have my reasons. And I hate and love drinking. I hate and love drinking. It's the strangest thing. While I'm drinking, I keep begging myself to stop. And when I'm not drinking, I miss it, you know? So there's a lot I have to work through, and there are a lot of issues I still have. But things got out of hand again, and worse than ever. And I'm now once again in early recovery. And I made the decision to go back to 12 steps. And so what I wanted to say in this video, because I'm doing what I do and I'm sort of veering off and just sharing openly, I wanted to be clear because some people have reached out to me, those that have followed me on this platform for a while, and said, why are you going back to the first letter of the alphabet twice? Why are you going back to 12-step programs? You've tried them, they haven't worked. And I was thinking about that, and I was really trying to make sure I could discern a positive answer, because I want to be clear, I don't want to be in a 12-step program, particularly right now. I don't have that enthusiasm right now. I don't have that joy and that excitement. I'm not marveling in the possibilities of what could be. Being sober has historically been very fruitful, productive, and enlightening, but it has also been pretty hard. I've never made it past a year and a half. I've never gone that far. And so I don't know if it's that I haven't completely gotten through post-acute withdrawal syndrome, which I know can stretch to 18 months even. I don't know if it's that I'm still holding on to my own will. I mean, I could speculate, but what I do know is that sobriety, I'm certainly better off sober by far. I'm a better version of myself, mentally, emotionally, and physically, but it is tough, and I do always feel a draw to just escape and get back into my bottle. But it took me to a place this last time where I was like, man, I was imagining that the only way I can keep this up is if my whole life blows up, I lose my wife, lose my home, lose my friends, lose everyone, and I just go isolate, and it would just be me and alcohol, or perhaps me being sober, and I get everything else. If I can get through whatever continues to burden me about being sober. The point is, when I was faced with that question, why do you keep going back to 12-step programs, and I really thought about it, and I realized it's not particularly because I love being here anymore. It loses some of its luster after having been back so many times. It's really hard to recapture the magic of early days of trying this. I come to this conclusion, and I hope this makes sense to somebody. The reason I'm inclined to go back to a 12-step program right now, and I don't want to say one last time, I can't predict the future, but the reason, at least for today, I'm back in it and I have a sponsor, I just finished a meeting, and I'm going to try, is because in my heart of hearts, I do believe that I've never fully worked this simple program of the first letter of the alphabet twice. The reason I keep saying it that way and not using the letters is because I was told by some leadership early in 12-step that I can't say the name, but I can refer to it as 12-step. And that way I'm not breaking one of the traditions, 12 steps, 12 traditions. But I've never fully worked the program. I've never fully worked through all of the steps. I know that. I always get hung up on step 4. I think I've made it past step 4 a few times, but I don't feel like I've ever done a truly meaningful 4th step. If you don't know what that is, feel free to Google it. I don't want to talk about it right now. But that weighs on me. And beyond that, and this is something my current sponsor, who's a G, he said, is that I've never worked with another person. I haven't. And that's a huge part of that program. A lot of people say that that is when getting through the steps that they outline and then working with someone else and giving it away is what allows you to keep it. And I also don't believe I'm so special and or so screwed that I wouldn't be able to get some of this magic that I've seen some people get. I think I put too much expectation on what it means to be sober in the past, or maybe I fantasized a bit, or I romanticized being sober and in 12-step and being enlightened and being so happy. I think I put a little too much pressure on that, but one thing is for sure, drinking won't work for me long term unless I can just concede a very mediocre, kind of sad life, I guess. So knowing that I kind of am out of options, it feels like. I know my wife is about to leave and everything's going bad. I was like, okay, I got to go back to 12-step. I'm in IOP as well, by the way. I'm not only putting my eggs in that basket. I'm in intensive outpatient therapy through my previous rehab. They have it via Zoom. I'm doing that. I'm working some alternative things too. This Naked Mind's a book written by Annie Grace. So I'm trying to learn more about the science-based aspect of this to see if it can appeal to that more intellectual part of me. But needless to say, I've never worked the program all the way through, all 12 steps with all my heart, with as much sincerity and honesty as I'm capable of mustering, and I've never worked with another person. And for that reason, I can't imagine not giving it a shot. I think that would haunt me. I think it would weigh on me, and it would always be one of those things I couldn't emotionally or mentally overcome. There'd be a hurdle there. Why didn't I ever, and I've asked myself this, why haven't you gone all the way through them? And I don't even know. Other than I can say that disease, alcoholism, it's all very tricky, and I am an extraordinarily fallible person, and I love the effects of drinking. I hate the after effects of drinking, and I don't appreciate the person I become as a drinker, but I love how it feels to just get drunk. It's a strange, strange thing. So I feel like I've said it all. That is why I'm giving 12-step another shot, at least for today. I mean, I could do something perfectly destructive tomorrow, but for today, in my early sobriety, I'm going to keep trying that until I just, God help me actually see it all the way through. That's my perspective. I'd love to know your perspective, because I think that was a fair question by one of my viewers. I think that's a fair question to anyone who's followed me, who's seen me struggle. Maybe you don't know that, but I've struggled on this channel, and I've succeeded and I've prevailed as well. But the current state, right? I'm obviously not exactly winning. But I do have today, I'm proud of my choices today. I don't feel very good. I'm pretty blah, pretty down, pretty despondent, pretty apathetic. But such is life when you imbibe the way I do. I've been hitting it like 6 days a week for the last couple months, 12 to 15 beers a night. No shit, my brain's going to need a little time to recalibrate. But anyway, I'm babbling. That is why I want to try 12-step again. That's why at least the actions are demonstrating as much, and I think my brain will soon follow. So please share in the comments below how you feel, what you've been going through, what your experience was. If you're struggling, what is that struggle and why? What keeps you from getting help? If you're someone that's gone back to 12-step programs in the past, what kept you in that mode of going back? Was it like me? Was it the realization that you've never actually given it a true, honest attempt? Well, I don't want to discredit and bash past me. I felt like I was trying, but I didn't get all the way through. Anyway, I appreciate you guys' feedback. I appreciate you guys being here. For those of you that stick around and support me, it means a lot, because a lot of you dip every time I post, and I get it. I really do get it. But for those of you that hang out and ride with me and just experience my life with me, it is invaluable to me. It means a lot, and so I love learning about you. So be sure to share in the comments below. Like I said, be good to yourselves, and yeah. Take care, and continue to give me suggestions for videos, because my brain is fucking fried, and I feel like I'm just trying to maintain right now. I also think it's worth mentioning as I end that I'm grateful, I'm blessed, I'm lucky, I'm fortunate, and I have a lot of great things in my life. So the odds feel against me sometimes, just because I see people who never get it, right? They just stay out there. But I also feel like I have good odds that I can get this if I can stay humble. And I'm just projecting, because fuck, this is stressful. I'll see you guys soon.